أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وبه نستعين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا بالقاسم محمد وعلى عترة الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Welcome to our series on Ashura, Bringing It Home. Here we're looking at the personalities that had a huge impact on the events of Ashura and after, and thinking about how we can bring it home into our lives and learn from it, to grow from it, to make it part of our akhlaq and our characteristics, inshallah. So today we're looking at Zainab and Kulthum bint Ali. These were the daughters of Imam Ali alayhi salam, the sisters of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Now we have a lot that we can learn from their lives. We have the main thing is the true perspective that we need to get in our lives. We constantly talk about looking at different perspectives, but there is only one true perspective, and that is what we need to actually move towards looking at. And this is where we see Allah in everything, in every aspect of our lives, in every situation, in everything that we do and everything we say. And I think that is what we can actually learn from Lady Zainab and Lady Kulthum alayhi salam's lives. So when Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad said to Lady Zainab, "Praise be to God who disgraced you and killed you and exposed your lies and the falsehood of your claims," she gave a beautiful reply. She actually said, "Praise be to God who honored us with Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and purified us with a thorough purification. Unlike what you say, God only disgraces the open sinner, the fasiq, and exposes the lies of the degenerate, fajr." So what she's trying to actually explain to Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad is that God will only disgrace those who openly commit sin. Now, as human beings, we tend to commit sins. That is part of being a human. We're not masoom. And I'm not saying that's okay, but it's recognizing that we do that. And that's why self-reflection is so important, which we've spoken about, where we can actually ask for forgiveness. And through self-reflection, we actually won't commit the same sins and move forward, inshallah, to a stage where we commit less and less and less sins. But what is more disgraceful is when we commit sins openly, where we don't care whether anyone sees us or not. We don't care what anyone thinks. We don't care what God thinks. We're openly telling people that I'm disobeying Allah and I'm okay about that. And this is where God disgraces the open sinner, when he himself doesn't care. He doesn't want to hide his disobedience. So it's important here to at least the bringing it home message should be that we should at least not have the audacity to sin openly. Now, how do we do this? We do this by showing people or telling people that it doesn't matter. It's like when we share our sins, that's one of the reasons why we're told never to share your sin with anyone, never to tell your sin to anyone but Allah. So this is one of the reasons, is that you're not then openly talking about your sin. And also when we do things openly where we don't care that other people see that we're disobeying Allah. And it's important that we don't get to that stage where we do that, because that's where then we will be disgraced by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When Lady Zainab alayhi salam was asked by Ubaidullah, he said to her, "What did you think of what God did to your household?" She gives a very beautiful response. She says, "I saw nothing but beauty." How is it that she saw nothing but beauty when she saw such evil happening on the lands of Karbala? When she saw the Imam, the best person on the land at that time, the Hujjah of Allah, being slaughtered in the way he was slaughtered, when she saw him being beheaded, when she saw her family being killed and murdered, a 6-month-old child being killed, their tents being put on fire, them being looted, their hijabs being taken. When she saw all of this, how did she see nothing but beauty? And this is where you actually, because she saw Allah in everything, she knew that Allah was there and Allah was watching and there would be recompense. This is not to say that Allah had a hand in this. This is to say that Allah allowed it to happen because Allah cannot interfere, because otherwise free will goes out of the window. But Allah recompenses, and that's why she continues, death was written for them, so they hasten to the places of their martyrdom. Soon God will gather you and them, and you will each present your arguments to Him and explain your actions before Him. And that is the going away message that we need to go away with, the bringing it home message, that Allah is in everything, and to know that He is the final judge and will recompense. We have to explain our actions before Him. That's the only one that matters. He is the only entity that matters. If I can explain my actions to him, then I know I'm okay. And finally, let's look at Lady Kulthum alayhi salam when she asks Shimmer, when they're as they approach Sham, she actually asks Shimmer, when you take us into the city, take us through a gate that has only a few bystanders. Instruct your men to go forward with these heads away from our mounts, because the stares of the people while we are in this state causes us shame. Imagine how much she would have had to break her ego to ask Shimmer for this favor, knowing that the sort of person he was, there was every chance that he would deny it, but she had to do whatever she could to protect her hijab. And how does Shimmer respond? In response to her request, out of spite and defiance, he orders instead for those carrying the heads on the spears to ride in the midst of the women. He brought them through the spectators and made them wait at the threshold of the Grand Mosque like common prisoners. So he actually made it worse. Now, some would say, well, it would have been better for her not to ask, because then maybe he wouldn't have made it worse, and maybe he wouldn't have gone out of his way to do exactly the opposite to what she'd asked him. One is, we never know how another person will react. Ours is not to try to guess what they will do and what they will not do. Ours is to try to do whatever we can, so that when we go back to Allah again, we can explain our actions before Him. Lady Kulthum was trying to protect her and the women's hijab, and so she felt the need to talk to Shimmer and give him one more chance to do the right thing. He chose not to take that. In fact, he chose to go totally against that and do the complete opposite. But that was his choice. At least when Bibi Kulthum goes back to Allah, she can say, I tried. It's about doing whatever we can. And again, the results are not on us. If the results were on us, then we would all end up in hell. It is the intention and the effort that we put in. Lady Kulthum's obvious intention was obviously for Allah, was in order to protect their hijab, in order to help the rest of the ladies and herself, in order to allow themselves not to be in the gaze of men as much as is possible. And she put in every effort. She talked to this godless man, who it must have been so difficult for her to talk to and ask a favor of, but she put her ego aside and did what was required at the time. And that is what God is going to look at, and that is what God is going to judge us on. So the bringing it home message in conclusion from Lady Zainab and Lady Kulthum alayha salam's lives are, one, that let us try to not commit sins, especially not openly. Let us see Allah in everything, whether it is something that looks evil, whether it is evil, but Allah is at the end of it and Allah will recompense, and He is the final judge. Let us be able to forgive people for the wrong that they have done to us, because we know that Allah is the final judge and we want His forgiveness. And let us do whatever we can in order to do whatever Allah wants us to do. Inshallah, if we take these lessons from Bibi Zainab and Bibi Kulthum alayhi salam's lives, then we will grow, inshallah, and see the true perspective. Please join me tomorrow in bringing it home, Ashura. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.